What if I told you the story of California is more than just Hollywood and sunshine? It's a saga of gold, greed, empires clashing, and dreams being built and broken. It's a story written in the dust of deserts, the rush of rivers, and the concrete of sprawling cities. Forget everything you think you know. We're about to journey back in time to uncover the real, raw, and revolutionary history of the Golden State. Our story begins long before the first European ships ever graced the horizon. For over 13,000 years, California was a vibrant tapestry of cultures. Hundreds of distinct indigenous tribes, like the Chumash, the Miwok, and the Yurok, thrived in this land of abundance. They weren't just surviving, they were masters of their environment. They developed sophisticated methods of land management, using controlled burns to promote healthy forests and cultivate essential plants. Their societies were rich with art, complex languages, and deep spiritual connections to the land. Imagine a California where the rivers ran thick with salmon, the skies were filled with condors, and the valleys were carefully tended gardens. This was a world governed by balance and respect, a stark contrast to the dramatic changes that were looming just over the ocean's edge. This was the original California, a thriving world that existed for millennia before the maps were redrawn. In the 16th century, the first whispers of a new era arrived on Spanish galleons. Explorers like Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo sailed up the coast, charting what they saw as a new frontier for the Spanish Empire. They called it California, a name plucked from a popular Spanish romance novel about a mythical island paradise ruled by a queen named Calafia. For the next 2 centuries, Spain's presence was minimal, but the seed of change had been planted. Then, in 1769, everything accelerated. Fearing Russian encroachment from the north, Spain launched the Portola expedition, led by Gaspar de Portola and the Franciscan friar Junipero Serra. Their mission was to establish a chain of presidios and missions. This marked the beginning of a profound and often tragic transformation for California's indigenous peoples. The mission system, intended to convert and assimilate, irrevocably altered their way of life, traditions, and very existence. The Spanish missions became the backbone of colonial California, a chain of 21 religious outposts stretched from San Diego to Sonoma, each a day's journey from the next along El Camino, the Royal Road. In theory, they were centers for religious conversion and agricultural training. In reality, they were complex, self-sufficient estates where thousands of indigenous people were brought to live and work. They farmed the land, tended livestock, and built the beautiful adobe churches we see today. But this came at a great cost. Stripped of their freedom and culture, and exposed to devastating European diseases, to which they had no immunity, the indigenous population plummeted. The mission era was a period of immense cultural collision and demographic catastrophe, forever reshaping the human landscape of California and leaving a legacy that is still debated and mourned today. As the 19th century dawned, the grip of the Spanish Empire weakened. In 1821, Mexico won its independence from Spain, and California became a remote, sparsely populated northern province of a new nation. The Mexican government, wary of the church's power, secularized the missions in the 1830s. The vast mission lands were broken up and granted to influential families and retired soldiers, creating massive private estates known as ranchos. This ushered in the era of the Californios, the Mexican elite who ruled over a pastoral society. Life revolved around cattle ranching. Hides and tallow were the currency of the day, traded with American and British ships for finished goods. It was a romanticized period of fiestas and horsemanship. But beneath the surface, tensions were simmering as a new group of outsiders began to trickle in from the east. The Americans. The arrival of American settlers in the 1840s marked the beginning of the end for Mexican California. Fur trappers, merchants, and land-hungry pioneers followed trails across the formidable Sierra Nevada, drawn by tales of a fertile paradise. Tensions between the established Californios and the assertive newcomers grew. This culminated in 1846 with the Bear Flag Revolt, where a small group of American settlers in Sonoma declared California an independent republic. Though short-lived, it was a clear signal of American ambition. Soon after, the Mexican-American War erupted. The U.S. military quickly seized control of California's key ports. By the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848, Mexico ceded California and a vast swath of the southwest to the United States. In a twist of fate, just 9 days before the treaty was signed, something happened that would change California and the world forever. On January 24th, 1848, a carpenter named James W. Marshall was building a sawmill for John Sutter near the American River. He spotted something shimmering in the water. It was gold. Though they tried to keep it a secret, the news leaked out. At first, it was a trickle of whispers, then a flood of rumors. By 1849, the world had caught gold fever. Hundreds of thousands of prospectors, dubbed the 49ers, descended upon California from every corner of the globe. They came by ship around Cape Horn. They trekked across the treacherous plains, all dreaming of striking it rich. San Francisco exploded from a sleepy village into a chaotic boomtown overnight. The gold rush was a force of nature, unleashing an unprecedented wave of migration, transforming California's economy, fast-tracking its path to statehood in 1850. The gold rush era was a period of incredible growth and brutal reality. While a lucky few found their fortune, most 49ers faced hardship, disease, and disappointment. The real money was made not by the miners, but by the merchants who supplied them. Entrepreneurs like Levi Strauss, who sold durable denim pants, and Leland Stanford, who founded a hardware business, built empires that would shape the state's future. The gold rush also had a devastating impact on the environment, as miners used destructive techniques like hydraulic mining, which blasted away entire hillsides and choked rivers with sediment. For California's indigenous people, it was another catastrophe, as they were violently pushed off their lands by the influx of miners. It was an era of radical, often ruthless, transformation. As the gold fever subsided, a new dream took hold, the dream of steel and steam. The vastness of the American continent was California's biggest challenge. In the 1860s, for Sacramento merchants Leland Stanford, Calise Huntington, Mark Hopkins, and Charles Crocker, known as the Big Four, took on the audacious task of building the western half of the Transcontinental Railroad. They formed the Central Pacific Railroad and, using a massive workforce, including thousands of Chinese laborers, they blasted tunnels through the granite of the Sierra Nevada. In 1869, at Promontory Summit, Utah, the Central Pacific and Union Pacific tracks were joined. The continent was now connected. The railroad revolutionized California, turning weeks of travel into days, opening up the state's agricultural bounty to eastern markets, and sparking another wave of migration that would fuel its next chapter of growth. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw California blossom into an agricultural and industrial powerhouse. The railroad opened up the Central Valley, which, with the development of massive irrigation projects, became one of the most productive farming regions in the world. At the same time, black gold oil was discovered in vast quantities, particularly in the Los Angeles basin, fueling a new economic boom. And then came Hollywood, seeking good weather and diverse landscapes. Early filmmakers abandoned the East Coast. By the 1920s, Hollywood had become the global center of the movie industry, creating a new California dream, one of fame and glamour that it broadcast to the world. From oranges to oil to celluloid, California was defining itself as a land of endless opportunity and innovation, attracting dreamers and builders from all over who saw it as the place to create the future. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through California's incredible history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the past. See you next time. Thank you for watching our historical topic. Subscribe us and share this video to others.